I did.
Hit the button.
Okay.
There we go. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and all of you potential Toastmasters out there today. Welcome to Wake Up with Toastmasters. I am your Program Quality Director for District 115, Ken Richardson. My co-host back from Africa.
Yeah.
So glad to have you back, Phyllis. You've been gone for several weeks and we definitely missed you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And our guest today is Louise Beaton, who is in Australia. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. We're so grateful for you to get up and talk with us. But Louise also happens to be the president of Jackpot Speakers. And she's going to talk to us today about some of the things that are going on. So welcome, Louise. Why don't we go ahead and tell us, before we get into Jackpot specifically, I want to know a little bit about you for our viewers. And I know you've been on the show before, I think, haven't you? Not ours.
I have once. Yes, I have.
Well, tell us a little bit about your Toastmasters journey, how you got involved.
Sure. So I have a slightly different entry point to many people. I was actually married for nearly 22 years. And one day I got the see you later speech. And my whole life pretty much turned upside down, and it was a really tough time. And initially, the reason I went to Toastmasters is kind of embarrassing, but he was still living at home. He was in and out. And I think I thought I'd make him wonder where I was. So I went and did all these different things. And I actually joined Toastmasters. And he didn't care less, by the way. But I ended up with something that I've been doing now for nearly 19 years and never looked back. So it's been a big part of my journey to start a new life. And as you would both know, it's just the most wonderful organization to be a part of, the friends you make, the opportunities that you have. And I love the fact that 19 years on, there's still so many things I want to achieve and do.
I think that is great. You get the opportunity. There's always more to do in Toastmasters. Something new will come along within the next year or two that wasn't around for the 19 years.
Yeah, it's very true. And I think I'm always a bit sad when I see people join and they might leave after a year or two, and I think they don't realize what they're missing. Yeah. The longer you stay, the richer the journey becomes.
Well, how did you get interested and involved in Jackpot across the pond, as it were? Yeah,
very interesting. So when I traveled before COVID times, I would try and visit different clubs if I could when I was on holidays. So I guess when we went onto Zoom, it was kind of second nature for me to think, oh, here's an opportunity to go and visit some clubs. I heard that they were the home of the 30-minute evaluation. And I went, really? They evaluate someone for 30 minutes? I've got to see this. But of course, it's 30 minutes in the meeting, which is usually about 10 to 12 minutes per speaker. And I fell in love with the club. The minute I went there, they were so friendly. You have people like Sherry Parker, Diane Hunter, just such a depth of experience. And I found myself learning things, even in that first meeting, after being such an experienced Toastmaster. They had different segments in the meeting, like the win-mins, where you talk about where you've won with Toastmasters during the week. I really just thought this is a club I could learn a lot from, and I signed up the first time I visited.
Excellent.
Awesome. You have some questions for Lou, Phyllis? I'm going to check our Facebook page, make sure it's working.
Yes, we must have that Facebook page checked. People need to make comments. So Ken knows that his job is not in any danger. Make a comment. So Lou, tell me more about Jackpots. I know that it's been around a long time, but you're having a big program coming up, and it's happening this Sunday. So possibly we can get a few viewers in there.
Oh, we love that. So I'm in District 70. My home district is District 70, which is around Sydney. And one of my Toastmasters friends, Dale Reese-Bevan, recently did a workshop called the Story Mining Workshop. And in District 115 this year, the two contests are the International and the Humorous Contest. And often I hear people say, oh, I don't have a story. I don't know what to use in my speeches. And when I attended Dale's workshop, I asked her if she would come across to Vegas and present the story mining workshop. it's a guided series of questions and exercises. And when you finish doing that with her, you just have lists of stories that maybe you've forgotten or not seen a certain way. So it's a very fun workshop, but very interactive. But it really takes you on a bit of a journey back through life and different moments in life. And you can come up with some great material. So I hope that people will come and visit us 1 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday. We would love to see you.
Well, I know that you have a get acquainted out half hour. So they should always zoom in a half an hour early and visit with all of the members. Get to know who's there and what's happening.
Yeah, and another thing you may not know, that half an hour before the meeting, we have an incredible VPE called Pasita Florida. She's doing an incredible job, and she makes herself available 30 minutes before every meeting, so people can go on there, like club members can go on there with toast inquiries, or maybe they're having a problem with pathways or they can't sort something out. So she actually makes herself available 30 minutes before as well, if people want that one-on-one tuition. So I thought that was just above and beyond her role as VPE. Isn't that a wonderful thing that she's doing?
Well, I am sure she is quite willing to answer questions from anyone in the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what it's all about. If you have a question, there's going to be somebody else that has the same question that would like additional information on. That's a tremendous thing and well advertised, I hope.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
yeah,
that's an exceptional calling card, if you will. I don't know if you've noticed, but I put your announcement up on the screen here so that folks can see it. I'm planning on attending, so I will be there.
Fantastic.
On Sunday from 1 to 3 Pacific time. Now that means you also have to get up early again, right? I'm so sorry.
No, actually, you know, it's there's this little 4-month window with Jackpot. So when I joined, it was 8 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden, when daylight saving, when you end and we start, it changes by 2 hours. So for 8 months of the year, when you're on daylight saving, it's either 6 o'clock for me. And then when you go off daylight saving, it's at the moment, it's 8 o'clock for me in the morning. And there's a little window there where it's 7 o'clock, but most of the year it's 6 a.m. So yes, it is quite early. And I'm a night owl, so that's not good for me, but it's worth getting up early for.
Well, it certainly sounds like it. And I'll just note before I take this down from the screen that to RSVP for attendance, they are to send you an email, and your email address is Beaton, LOUBEATON @bigpond.com. Seems appropriate. So
thank you. And I'll just, before you take that down, I'll just talk just a little bit about Dale, if I may.
Sure.
So Dale has also been a Toastmaster, I think actually for over 20 years. She just got her 20-year plaque from District 70. And she's such an engaging trainer and presenter, very experienced. It's her job. She's actually a speech coach. And another really interesting thing about Dale is she does something called Chatter Camp. So in the school holiday, she runs camps for children to learn public speaking. So she's just very gifted, wonderful. She's been in the, I think, semifinals when it was in Canada. She was representing District 70. She's just a fabulous and very funny and very witty presenter. So I think you're going to you'll even learn a lot just watching how she runs the workshop. She's fabulous.
Sounds like sort of a speechcraft when you mentioned speech camps. Is that kind of the format in a way? Well,
they do a lot of fun things. They go away for a week to some location, and they just run all kinds of different activities for the kids. So they might have games and things like that, and then they'll do public speaking games. They prepare speeches. It's a wonderful thing that she's been doing for a long time. So she does that as part of her speaking business, but of course, she also does a lot of things like this for Toastmasters as well.
Well, that's great. I'm looking forward to it. So, and I applaud you and Jackpot for being innovative and creative. I think this is the kind of thing that Phyllis was talking about. You know, we learn from each other and we develop lifelong friendships. And when people ask me, why have you been in I've been in Toastmasters for just 15 years, so I'm sort of the newbie here. But people say, well, why have you been in Toastmasters all this time? I say, well, because it's lifelong learning. It's lifelong opportunity to learn. It's lifelong opportunity to make friends, and now to make friends around the world. I just love that. I was talking Monday. I was hosting for Jean Williams. She was unable to host on Monday, and we were talking about the fact that Zoom has opened up so many opportunities to make friends around the world and to learn different things from our colleagues across the pond, if you will.
That's a big pond. That's a very big pond.
Well, I've always wanted to go to Australia, but I haven't quite made it there yet. That's on my bucket list. So I'm curious. I know you want to talk about Jackpot, and that's fine, but I'd like to know a little bit more about your home club there in Australia. How their meetings are conducted. Are they very different or very similar to here in the U.S.?
It's interesting. So when COVID hit, I went to quite a few American clubs, and I guess Jackpot doesn't do this, but the biggest difference I did notice was it seems to take a little longer to start the meetings to me in America. So you will do a lot of explanations of the roles. You'll introduce the Toastmaster and the team. That seemed to be quite a common thing that a lot of clubs did. So sometimes it would feel to me like the meeting may not start for 20 minutes. It just seemed to be the way that you do that. Whereas I think in Australian clubs, we tend to say what the role is as we go through them. So we won't necessarily introduce roles at the beginning of the meeting, but when we do table topics, we'll say table topics is our impromptu speaking. It's helpful for interviews, etc. And then we start. So that was a little bit of a difference for me. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. It's just it was a little different to what I was used to. And I have to be honest, it was probably one of the things that I did like about Jackpot was that it started very much President's Welcome, and then we go into educational and humorous. I kind of like that, just getting going. And for me, I quite like doing the explanations as we go through, but I also understand that from another point of view, it gives more people time to speak, and I see value in both.
Yeah, I think that's part of the beauty, if you will. When you visit other clubs, particularly those from other nations, and see how they do things. In my home club, for example, we start with our prepared speeches after we do an educational moment and a humorous moment. And then we do table topics, and then we do evaluation. And the reason we do it that way is to give the evaluators an opportunity. I do want to say good morning. We have Jennifer Smith on the line watching the show. Good morning, Jennifer, and Carol Wayman, who is back in Washington, D.C. Hi, Carol. And she says Australia should be on everyone's bucket list. So there's a plug.
Oh, she's right.
Pretty fabulous.
She is
so it's interesting. You did just remind me then, that was the other thing I noticed, that in most of the Australian clubs that I visited or belong to, we do table topics first. And then after the break, we do speeches. So that was a little bit, they're doing speeches first. Some clubs do that here, but I guess our typical meeting would have table topics first. But there's so much. I think once you travel, though, you start to realize all these things that you think that are standard. We're all doing the same things. We might do them slightly different order, but it's actually been, I found it really heartwarming. I don't know how else to explain this, but traveling on Zoom, I felt so proud to be a Toastmaster. I think I knew we were a worldwide organization, but once you start going around the world to all these clubs, you just get a sense of this amazing organization that we belong to. And it's like, you're sitting here in Australia, but all around the world, there are all these people in different cultures and countries doing the same thing. I don't know, I just found it very heartwarming during COVID to go and see how Toastmasters clubs around the world were so similar. We're different, but we have this huge similarity as well.
Exactly. And that's what I enjoyed. I have to tell you my story a little bit. I really was focused on my club when I first joined, as most of us are. But what got me outside of my club were the contests. And once I started visiting other clubs and competing in contests and what have you, that subsequently led me into district leadership. And I'm so grateful because I didn't really appreciate the world beyond my club. I was very, very tunnel vision, if you will, focused on just my club. So I tell that story to encourage Toastmasters to explore other clubs, whether it's down the street or around the world, because there's just so much about Toastmasters that you can gain from visiting other clubs. I see Phyllis over there smiling. Did you have some comments there, Phyllis?
Well, that's it. You tell people and you tell people and you tell people and you tell them how great it is to see how other clubs are run. Go steal their best ideas and bring them back home.
It's a smorgasbord out there.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And everybody has to have 3 things, impromptu speaking, speeches, and evaluations. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it's wide open. So see what you like and bring it back to your club. But it's hard to push them into it. Once they make the idea, once they make that first step in going online to see something in like Ireland or Australia or wherever, they're hooked. They're hooked. It doesn't take any more encouragement. So I'm so glad that you are talking up visiting other clubs, because it's a great thing for people to do.
Yeah, that's why go ahead.
No, you go, please.
I was just going to follow up on that and say that's one of the reasons that I really encourage participation during contest season. Not just being a contestant, but being involved in the contest as in a role that maybe you're a vote counter or a timer or a judge, and getting out and seeing all of these other clubs, because our areas will be holding their contests together, and then our divisions, and then of course on May 6th is our annual conference for District 115, and that's the culmination of the contest season really for this year for humorous and international. And once you do that, you really begin to branch out and see what opportunities there are, and not just in the sense of the programs that Toastmasters has, but also in the opportunities for building lifelong friendships.
And of course, this year we're going to be hybrid. That means people around the world can come and visit us. Now we need to find a way to advertise our contests internationally. Is there a way to do that? Yes,
I can answer that, hopefully. One of the things that has resulted from a more global approach is the program quality directors around the world are all on a WhatsApp together.
Oh, great.
So we share information. I want to go to, Carol has a question here on Facebook. Do the speeches differ in your Australian club? Do people give longer speeches, more work style speeches, tall tales? So how is that different, Lou?
Right, so we follow pathways. So I guess it depends on the project mainly. But one big difference you might be surprised at, and I can only speak for District 70 and District 90, which is the other half of Sydney and New South Wales. Tall tales isn't done much here. We don't have a lot of tall tales contests. And if we do, it's only in the club. So in Australia, I've never seen tall tales beyond a club. Only one of my 5 clubs does it. So that might surprise you. I was very surprised that tall tales went all the way through to district. That was a big surprise for me. Basically, we are very strong in District 70 on pathways speeches. So we always are told that every speech has to be a pathways speech. There are a few exceptions. Tonight, I've just come from a club. We had a lady come and she's been there for 2 months. And when she came, she couldn't even introduce herself. And she's Mother of the Bride. And she's just done her Mother of the Bride speech tonight to practice for the wedding in January. So, of course, we gave her more time tonight. There was no time limit. And we do have those moments. But generally, Carol, I'd say we just do the pathways assignments. So some of them are 12 to 15 minutes, 5 to 7. that would normally be the type of speeches we're doing, is pretty much what everyone, I guess, around the world is doing. But we're always flexible, and there are times like a Mother of the Bride speech. We still try to fit it in somewhere in Pathways, but we weren't going to put a timer on her tonight. She was allowed to have her moment.
I think that's wonderful.
Oh, you've got no idea. She wouldn't even say her name.
Oh my gosh.
She'd just go. And now she came out and did a 6-minute Mother of the Bride speech that made everybody cry nearly. It was beautiful.
It brings back memories. We had a member in my home club, which is Early Risers, and we meet every Wednesday at 6:30 a.m., hence the name. But I remember one of our early members, this has been years ago, who got up to do a icebreaker speech. And he managed to sort of talk for about 30 seconds. And then he sat down. He just couldn't get beyond that. But now you can't shut him up. So he's definitely overcome his shyness. Now, Carol followed up here. I just want to follow up here. She says, in the Washington, D.C. area, we have a lot of immigrants who join Toastmasters to meet others and to practice their English skills. It's great for us to learn about other cultures and for them to see us and what have you. Does Australia have that kind of interaction with new residents? You want to address that, Lou?
Yeah, very much. So you might not know this, but in our recent census, so we had a census done 2 years ago when we were in the lockdown of COVID, 1 in 3 Australians were born overseas. That's a huge number, isn't it? 1 in 3 of us weren't born here. So we're very multicultural. In my family, my boys' partners, one is Swedish, one is Filipino. It's really common in Australia to have all kinds of cultures coming in together. We get a lot of Asian students coming in. So from China, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Indonesia. So a lot of our Sydney Toastmasters clubs would have people from those cultures, from universities, coming in to improve their English. We have a lot of migrants come here and they need somewhere to, often they have good English, but it's that colloquial English, it's that conversational English that, especially with Australia, we tend to shorten words and do all kinds of funny things. So sometimes they really need to come in and just get an ear for the local dialect and culture as well. So yeah, very much, Carol. Australia's incredibly multicultural.
I think that's terrific.
My daughter-in-law became an Australian citizen last year. And when we went to the service for her to become an Australian citizen, I think there was 200 people there. And I'm sure they said there was something like 80 different nationalities represented.
Wow.
80 different nationalities that day.
I love that. That's the other aspect of Toastmasters is the multicultural nature of. I think it makes us much better, much stronger. And
Me too.
I have attended a couple of Toastmasters groups around the world, and it's a wonderful experience. I highly recommend it. Let's see, I don't have any other questions here. So Phyllis, do you have some questions before we start to wrap up here? We got about 5 minutes left.
Well, tell us about your first time at a Toastmaster meeting.
Oh,
It was
gosh.
quite beneficial.
My very first Toastmasters meeting, I went because, as I mentioned, my husband had walked out and I was really messy and I really probably wasn't ready to go. And true story, and this is for all the VPMs out there, especially, I had 1 foot in the door of Ingleburn Toastmasters and I turned to go. I actually pivoted to go and I felt this hand on my shoulder. And this person probably thought I was absolutely terrified of speaking. It wasn't that. And she said, don't go. I will look after you and stay with you the whole time. And because of her, Margaret McQuillan, her name is, that's how I ended up going into Toastmasters and staying. But sometimes I stop. It's like a sliding doors moment. I could so easily have just gone. And I often wonder if she hadn't grabbed me, how much would I have missed out on? And so it's always, I say to people, please always be watching the door, because sometimes people come and they're really nervous to come in and you might miss them. So I'm always very conscious of people coming into the club and visiting. sometimes they really do need that person at the door just to give them the confidence to come in. So that was my first meeting. I cried on them. True story. I cried every meeting for 6 months. I cried. It wouldn't matter what we spoke about. It would trigger some memory for me. I probably drove them nuts, but they were so nice to me. And true story, I cried every meeting for 6 months.
Yeah. Well, in my case, I had about 6-7 months of somebody inviting me, constantly inviting me.
Oh, wow.
And God, I'm so grateful that she did. I've been in Toastmasters over 25 years and I've loved every moment of it. So district leadership, the whole business, any job that I've been assigned, it's great to find something new to do. And Wake Up with Toastmasters was not around 2 years ago.
No, it's a wonderful initiative.
So there's always something new. So we appreciate you coming and talking with us today.
Pleasure. I think we share the same love of Toastmasters. It's pretty clear to see.
Yes. Well, one more time, tell us again about Sunday and how they can register or get information before we
Yes, of course. So please come to our story mining workshop at Jackpot Speakers, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time. And I will mention that Dale is up first because of another time commitment. It will start just a couple of minutes into the meeting. Dale will be on doing the workshop, so please be there at 1 p.m. It's a wonderful interactive workshop with an opportunity to do exercises and come away with a whole list of ideas for potential stories for speeches. And you can email me, Lou Beaton, LOUBEATON at bigpond.com. And we would love to see you there. At the end of the meeting, we never close our meeting off straight away either. You can certainly come before the meeting, up to half an hour before, but you can also stay on afterwards, and we love to chat with our visitors as well.
So you'll send out a link for those people who contact you through email.
Correct. Yeah, we don't publicly put our Zoom link, but we'll certainly respond quickly and give you the link. That's a recurring link. So if people want to keep visiting us, they have the link there every Sunday. I think for the first time, last year we met every single Sunday of the year, but it's Christmas Day and New Year's Day on Sunday. Oh. And I'm actually really, really thrilled with my board members because they're giving us 2 weeks off. And I actually think with a weekly club and with all we've all been through the last few years, it's really time for us to refresh and have a break. So we'll be meeting up till and including the 18th of December. Then we'll have 2 weeks off.
Thank you so much, Lou. It's always a pleasure to have people from within our own district and like yourself who represent multiple districts to learn about what's going on. So if anybody out there has something coming up for your club that you'd like to come on Wake Up with Toastmasters to talk about, just shoot me an email. You can see it on the screen. It's krichardson@lvnv@gmail.com. Shoot me an email and we will get you scheduled to be on Wake Up with Toastmasters to talk about your particular event or just to talk about your Toastmasters journey. I want to remind everyone, we have something here, Lou, that I don't know if you have. This is another innovation of our District Director, Gene Williams. It's called Early Bird TLI. And you may be familiar with the problem where you have officers who are repeating their roles. So they've had the basic training and they get quite bored if you make them sit through it again. So we have to, Gene come up with sort of what we think of, or I think of as a tier 2, a level 2 type of training that is much more interactive. It's much more discussion of your experience and best practices. What have you learned? What would you like to share? What would you do differently? Those kinds of things. More like a panel discussion, really. And that has gone over very, very well with our officers. So those officers who have already been trained, but are continuing in that role are eligible for Early Bird TLI, and they get credit for that. Then, of course, we do have a couple of TLIs coming up after the first of the year. January 7th will be our Zoom TLI, and January 21st will be our in-person TLI. The other thing we have is Educational Enrichment Night, and that's coming up on December 10th. and January 14th are the next 2 rounds, and that's 2 hours of educational programs. We always have, for example, a new member orientation, and that's designed to enhance, not supplant, what our existing clubs are doing. With new member orientation, we have introduction to pathways, we have a pathways help desk, and then we have a couple of other programs, like for example, this on the 10th, we're going to have our district chief judge, D. George Lund, will be talking about judging contests and that kind of thing to help people get prepared for that and sharpen their skills as a judge. So on the second Saturday of every month, that's Educational Enrichment Night. And then on the last Saturday of every month is Game Night. And this is, again, something that Jean started. And it's really just sort of a free form, exactly as it sounds, a game night where you can come online and play different games. I've joined them. And it's amazing how you can play Pictionary using the Zoom whiteboard. Boy, is it difficult to draw. And then they have things like Jeopardy and Scrabble. I don't know what all else, but that's just a fun night. So if you need any information, just shoot me an email. Anything else, Phyllis, before, what did I forget? Anything?
Well, you did not mention, at least I didn't hear it, is that the TLI for people that are repeating their role is this Saturday at 9 a.m. So this Saturday. Now, if you can't make that, bear in mind, even if you're repeating your office, you can go to any TLI and get credit. But this is an advance, and I think it's worthy of meeting on Saturday. So I wanted to make sure everybody knew it. It's this Saturday.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad you mentioned the fact that that's the other opportunity, Lou, that attending TLIs outside of your district. You know, we offer 3 opportunities within the district to do a TLI, but with District 33 is on the same time zone we are, District 100 is on the same time zone. So that opens up new possibilities where instead of just 3 opportunities to attend a TLI, now our officers have 10. So
yeah, I think if I could just add one thing, if anyone does that, just to make sure that they get recorded for the districts that they have officer roles in. So, for example, I always have to make sure I add on in District 70 plus District 115. Please make sure you note that I'm also training for District 115. So District 70 moved to a similar format last year. We had a little bit more interactive and small groups, and it was very well received also. We have to cover the basics, of course, but we had sort of options. We had different streams that people could go to, and one of them was for the golden oldies, and the person who called it that never liked the name but got stuck with it. It just meant for people who had done the roles a few times. It was a little more advanced options for them. So it's a great idea you're doing.
That's terrific. And if you send me the link, if other districts are welcome, I will make sure that our members know
of course.
they can also attend that. All right. Well, that wraps it up for today. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure having you, Lou. Phyllis, I'm so glad you're back. We missed you tremendously. So we'll sign off now and remind everyone, Wake Up with Toastmasters. We'll be back tomorrow with Jennifer Smith. So hopefully she'll see you then. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.